I attend a local mortuary science college. We're pretty normal, aside from the dead bodies. But like any other college, it's finals week. And so I've been going out to the grades board and almost compulsively checking my grades to make sure that, I'm still doing well. Our grades board is just a cork board that they have set up in the hallway, and the teachers will, once they've graded our tests, tack our grades up there, and that's pretty much it. Every once in a while somebody puts up a sign, or if a funeral home nearby is hiring, they put up the ad for that. Today, I walked out to check my grades, and I saw this. Without Christ, there would be no Christmas. Well, somebody needs to tell the poster that there ain't gonna be no Christmas then. Now, I don't go to a religious school. It's a public college. There are some students that are religious, and there are also students that are not religious. And I've had conversations with all the different kinds of students. There's only been a few incidents that I could count, on one hand, mind you, where somebody has shoved their beliefs down someone else's throat, and really what it comes down to is just plain ignorance instead of arrogance. So seeing this sign on the board was actually really, really surprising to me. I stood back, I thought about it, I decided that the best way to handle this level of arrogance was to take it down and write a rational response to the poster. My response reads, actually, there would be. You see, Christmas was a pagan holiday that was co-opted by the Roman Emperor Constantine in an effort to exert the maximum amount of control over his people by having them convert to the same religion as him. Religion breeds guilt, especially Christianity. As far as Jesus goes, there's barely any historical evidence for his existence as one actual human being. Keep Saturn in Saturnalia. P.S. There are lots of people in this world, even in this school, who don't practice your religion. Some of us don't appreciate your arrogance. Love, Cambridge. And I signed my name because I'm not a coward. Before telling you the rest of the story, I want to stop here and make a point. We've all seen signs that are full of arrogance and ignorance, such as this one posted here. And some of us maybe just walk by them and we'll go talk about it later. We'll go talk to our friends about it, we'll blog about it, take pictures of it, that kind of thing. And I think that is perfectly okay for you to do. Some of us, however, decide that we can't just leave this sign up all by itself without an opposing opinion. I mean, teach the controversy, am I right? I think step one is to not take yourself too seriously here. Nobody wants to read an angry response. Nobody's going to get anything out of that because they're just going to think that you're the asshole. Instead, see the humor in the situation and bring that out with your response. And step two is to get creative. Post a sign underneath the original one, or in my case, right on the original one. Although, I will say that that could be considered vandalism, and maybe that wasn't the right thing for me to do. You're going to be received better by a wider audience if you're just simply less angry. And I know, trust me, I know, there is plenty for us to be angry about, especially when we see signs like this. But if you're trying to convey an opposite message, or at least one that is dissimilar to the original message, to an audience of people, I will say that you should probably tone it down a little bit on the anger. We get it. We understand the anger, and it's so fair and deserved. But hey, just get constructive. Turn the anger into humor, and a lot more people are going to listen to you. Okay, so the rest of the story. The sign got torn down, but not for the reason that you would think. After I had written my response, I stood there for a little bit, just kind of talking with everybody around me, and a guy walks up and reads the sign, and then immediately pulls it down and starts crumpling it up. And I said, "Hey man, what are you doing? Did you put that sign up?" And he goes, "No, I didn't put that sign up, it's offensive, and it shouldn't be up there." And I was like, "Okay man, but it's not your sign. It's not your sign to pull down. If you didn't put it up, you can't pull it down. Seems pretty fair to me." And he walks over and he's crumpling it up and he throws it in the garbage can and he says, "Well, this is not a Christian school and that's offensive and it shouldn't be up there." So you see how this just became weird for me? Because it's like, me and him are kind of on the same page to some extent, but I don't condone suppressing free speech just because you're offended by something. Here I am trying to basically tell him, dude, you can't take something down just because you're personally offended by it. And he literally gets in my face and tells me that he doesn't want to argue. Not the best way to tell somebody you don't want to argue with them. And he starts walking down the hallway and he goes, well, we'll see what the president of the school has to say about this. I'm butthurt. And I was like, all right, man, you know, go ahead. I'm not really worried about it. You know, in my mind, this issue isn't big enough to take to the president of the school, but whatever. So he marches off down the hallway to the president's office, all, I'm important and butthurt. And, you know, with the wadded up paper in his clenched little fist. And it just, this kind of validates the point that I had just brought up before. Nobody took him seriously. He got all angry about it and agitated, and nobody took him seriously at all. Everybody just thought he was an idiot for getting that angry about something that's stupid. But that brings me to the third point that I want to make, is that what does tearing down offensive material accomplish, aside from making you look dumb? It doesn't, I would argue that it doesn't really, doesn't accomplish much. That's why I'm a firm believer in the get angry, but get constructive and get creative method of dealing with these kinds of things, you know? That way, the original message is left up, your response is left right under it, and so people can see the two things, and hopefully your response will, you know, make them think about the first one and why it's ridiculous in the first place. You know, also, just as a general point, free speech is so important to us. Not only as a society, but, I mean, as atheists, I think that we can all agree that free speech is, like, kind of our thing. We fight for it a lot. We have to, unfortunately, fight for it a lot. Every time you were offended by something that you saw or read or heard, how many things would there be left? There would barely be any. You can't just silence something or someone because you don't agree with it. No, instead, use it as a platform for an opposing viewpoint and get that out there. As atheists, I think we need to use these opportunities more often. You know, when you see signs like these hanging up at your school or in public, which I've seen too, that's weird. Use them as platforms for an opposing idea. Go to the library or the computer lab, type up your own sign, and, you know, stick it right underneath the original one. Make it funny. Make it something that people want to read and something that people will laugh at. Otherwise, you're just going to become that guy. And nobody likes that guy. After he had torn down the original sign and became all weird about being offended, I immediately went to the library and started making another sign. And then the best part about that is that he was sitting right next to me while I was making this second sign to put up. And so here's that sign. Because signs are the best ways to deal with your problems, really. So, 3 things that I want you to take away from this video. 1, don't get butt hurt. 2, don't be a dick. And 3, get creative with your responses. Use every opportunity as an advantage.